Welcome back, everyone. Dustin Davis here, and you're watching another Bears Express Report. The Bears just notched their 10th victory of 2024, a threshold the franchise hasn't crossed since 2018. For an organization that cycled through quarterbacks and coordinators at an exhausting rate, that figure alone represents progress. Yet underneath the wins sits a more complicated set of questions about durability, decision-making at the front office level, and whether Chicago's current roster construction can support sustained playoff contention. Recent weeks have tested the depth chart in ways nobody anticipated. A rookie receiver who appeared invincible through 14 games suddenly can't complete a warm-up without re-aggravating a stress fracture. A first-year quarterback continues piling up completions while sidestepping mistakes that derailed his predecessors. And across the league, whispers about elite signal callers potentially changing uniforms have crept into Chicago's orbit, forcing the front office to weigh calculated risk against methodical roster building. How the Bears navigate these converging pressures, injury management, developmental patience, and the ever-present lure of an instant upgrade will define whether this season marks a genuine turning point or simply another fleeting glimpse of competence. The organization stands at a crossroads where every decision carries weight, and the margin for missteps has narrowed considerably. Let's check out all the news happening in Chicago. Firstly, can I ask for your help? Just leave a like. So many of you watch us daily and forget that thumbs up. It's a humble way to support and helps more than you know. Thanks a lot. Sunday's contest against Cleveland concluded with more than just another tally in the win column. Williams guided the offense to 242 yards through the air, connected on a pair of scoring throws, and protected the football entirely. Zero giveaways on a day when the ground attack, led by DeAndre Swift's 2-touchdown performance, controlled the tempo. The result pushed Chicago's record to 10-4, marking the franchise's first double-digit win season in 6 years, and only the second since 2013. For a team that's endured relentless quarterback turnover, that achievement signals both the talent of a young passer and the coherence of the coaching infrastructure surrounding him. Embedded within that victory was a benchmark that arrived without fanfare. Williams recorded his 1,000th career completion. Reaching that milestone isn't uncommon for a starting quarterback, but the manner in which he arrived there is. Across those 1,000 throws, he's been intercepted just 12 times, the lowest total in NFL history for any quarterback at that volume. In a league that values ball security as a foundational skill, that figure reframes how evaluators should view Williams' processing speed and risk management during his rookie campaign. Context sharpens the significance of 12 interceptions over 1,000 attempts. Dak Prescott previously owned the record with 18 picks across a similar workload. Tyrod Taylor logged 16, and Jacoby Brissett 14, though neither carried the snap count or offensive responsibility of a full-time starter. For a Chicago quarterback operating within a franchise that's never been synonymous with cautious ball handling, Williams establishing this standard feels both unexpected and deeply meaningful. The disparity becomes stark when measured against Chicago's recent passers. Justin Fields reached his 12th interception in fewer than 300 throws. Rex Grossman hit the mark before 400 attempts. Jim McMahon didn't make it past 330 passes before logging his 12th giveaway. Even Jay Cutler, who arrived in 2009 as an established Pro Bowl talent, threw his 12th pick before reaching 300 completions. Those benchmarks underscore how rare Williams' early career discipline has been, particularly for someone wearing a Bears uniform in a city where quarterback play has historically oscillated between erratic and underwhelming. Giveaways alter outcomes. A quarterback who minimizes self-inflicted mistakes while still generating plays when structure collapses gives his team a sustainable path to victory in close contests. Williams remains unfinished. Accuracy inconsistencies and developmental gaps persist, but the interception data eliminates one fundamental concern about his readiness. For Chicago, that clarity holds enormous value. Williams represents the closest approximation to a legitimate franchise quarterback the organization has fielded in decades, and that recognition recalibrates expectations across the entire operation. Meanwhile, a troubling injury development threatens to rob Chicago of its most explosive weapon when they need him most. Odunze appeared on the active roster for Chicago's Week 15 home matchup, yet he never participated in a single offensive snap. The second-year wide receiver had been managing the same foot issue that forced him out the previous week, practiced with limitations throughout the week, and seemed positioned to return until pregame warmups revealed otherwise. The injury flared during those final preparations, a development that immediately intensified concerns about both severity and whether the damage could withstand game conditions. Dr. David Chao, the orthopedic surgeon who analyzes injuries publicly under the handle Pro Football Doc, highlighted how stress fractures in the foot can appear stable during structured practice environments, but unravel under the dynamic forces of live competition. Chao's December 14 evaluation warned that Odunze won't be over his foot stress fracture issues until surgery and off-season, a projection that threatens to reshape Chicago's offensive plans for the final stretch and any potential playoff games. Odunze sat out Week 14's road game at Green Bay, the first absence of his professional career, and returned to practice in a restricted capacity leading up to the Cleveland game. Despite being cleared to suit up for Week 15, he re-aggravated the foot while warming up and couldn't take the field. That progression suggests either a setback occurred or the injury proved unable to handle high-intensity movement, exposing limitations that controlled drills had masked. Chao's assessment reflects a well-documented pattern. Stress fractures often mislead during low-impact activity, only to fail when subjected to full-speed cuts and contact. Following Chicago's 31-3 victory over Cleveland, head coach Ben Johnson acknowledged that Odunze had re-aggravated the injury in pre-game warmups and conceded, "I really don't know the extent of it. Something like that happens right before a game and you're solely focused on getting the next guy ready to perform at a high level." This marked the second consecutive week a presumed starter injured himself during warmups. Nickel corner Kyler Gordon had previously re-injured a groin and subsequently landed on injured reserve. Before being sidelined, Odunze had carved out a breakout campaign. Through 14 weeks, he paced the team with 44 receptions for 661 yards and 6 touchdowns. Standing 6'3" and weighing 214 pounds, his physical tools and deployment as a boundary number one have made him integral to Chicago's passing concepts across multiple formations. Odunze's presence fundamentally alters how defenses align. His capacity to threaten vertically compels safeties to honor deep routes and prevents cornerbacks from creeping toward the line or keying on underneath options. Even when he's not the primary target, his positioning creates throwing windows and sustains offensive balance. The chemistry he's developed with Caleb Williams has become reliable, so removing one of the quarterback's trusted outlets would disrupt timing and narrow schematic flexibility. Odunze's college reputation for toughness, he played through a significant chest injury at Washington, suggests his competitive drive won't waver. Nonetheless, if Dr. Chao's prognosis holds and surgical intervention becomes necessary to fully address the stress fracture, Chicago may see limited availability from its top receiver for whatever remains of the season. That scenario would demand schematic recalibration and personnel reshuffling as the Bears chase postseason objectives. In another development, whispers around the league have linked the Bears to a blockbuster move that could reshape everything. General manager Ryan Poles has steered clear of splashy, marquee trades since taking control of Chicago's front office, with the lone exception being the 2023 deal that sent the #1 overall pick elsewhere in exchange for a comprehensive package of draft assets. Poles has consistently indicated he won't mortgage the roster's future for a single high-profile addition unless that move unequivocally elevates the team into Super Bowl contention. That philosophy clarifies why Chicago remained quiet at the trade deadline and why most expect the front office to maintain a measured posture through the 2026 draft cycle. Yet an undercurrent of speculation has surfaced recently. What happens if an elite quarterback becomes available? Recent public comments from Joe Burrow have sparked conjecture that Cincinnati's star signal caller, widely regarded as one of the league's finest when healthy, might be receptive to a change following consecutive seasons that concluded without playoff runs. Organizations have established precedent for this type of maneuver. Cincinnati's previous clash with Carson Palmer roughly a decade ago, rooted in organizational dysfunction and conservative spending habits, is frequently invoked as a cautionary parallel. Media voices such as Jason McIntyre of The Herd have raised the notion that Chicago could theoretically pursue Burrow if circumstances aligned properly.
Detroit's recent history offers a comparable blueprint. In 2021, Matthew Stafford requested a trade to escape a protracted rebuild. The Lions negotiated an exchange with the Los Angeles Rams that sent Stafford west, while bringing Jared Goff plus 2 first-round selections and a third-rounder to Detroit. The transaction handed the Rams an immediate quarterback upgrade while supplying the Lions with a competent starter and the draft ammunition to overhaul their roster, a deal that ultimately served both franchises well. On paper, the appeal is undeniable. Burrow ranks among the league's top 5 quarterbacks, and his pocket-oriented skill set aligns seamlessly with Ben Johnson's offensive philosophy. If Jared Goff delivered MVP-caliber production within Johnson's framework, the upside for Burrow would theoretically climb even higher. Securing Burrow would position Chicago with one of the conference's premier passers and allow the organization to redirect remaining resources toward defensive upgrades. However, practical obstacles loom large. Acquiring a quarterback of Burrow's caliber would require a substantial asset package, elite draft picks, proven starters, and cap flexibility, and would compel front office leadership to balance long-term sacrifices against immediate championship potential. The cultural and financial mechanics of such a transaction are far from simple, rendering the theoretical fit attractive but the actual execution extraordinarily complicated. That acknowledged, the realistic likelihood remains exceptionally low. Cincinnati currently possesses no organizational motivation to move its franchise quarterback, and no credible, verified reporting indicates Burrow desires a change of scenery. Speculation can shift rapidly, but as matters stand, the probability of such a monumental transaction remains slim. Joe Burrow's climb from college sensation to NFL cornerstone has unfolded swiftly, yet it's been interrupted by significant medical issues that influence long-term evaluations and perceived trade value. Burrow emerged as a national phenomenon at LSU in 2019, capturing the Heisman Trophy and steering the Tigers to a national championship with a campaign defined by precision and clutch execution. That performance solidified his standing as the unanimous top prospect, and Cincinnati claimed him with the first overall selection in the 2020 NFL Draft. During his rookie year, Burrow demonstrated advanced pocket awareness, pinpoint accuracy, and early chemistry with his catchmakers. His 2020 season ended abruptly in November with a devastating left knee injury, torn ACL and MCL accompanied by additional structural damage that necessitated surgery and exhaustive rehabilitation. Clear to return in 2021, he spearheaded a franchise resurgence that culminated in a Super Bowl 56 appearance, showcasing elite arm talent, postseason composure, and the ability to elevate surrounding talent like Jamar Chase. Statistically, Burrow has produced multiple 4,000-yard seasons, earned Pro Bowl recognition, and maintained elevated passer ratings, cementing his status among the NFL's elite quarterbacks when available. Yet, recurring injuries, including a season-ending torn ligament in his right wrist in November 2023 that required surgical repair, complicate durability assessments and projections about his sustained peak performance. Those medical interruptions weigh heavily in how teams evaluate him and what compensation it would take to extract him from Cincinnati. Burrow's profile thus presents a duality: elite-level execution and leadership when on the field, counterbalanced by periodic health setbacks that raise legitimate questions about his ability to remain consistently available at peak capacity, and whether Cincinnati can translate his talent into a durable championship window. Here's the big question: should the Bears actually pursue Joe Burrow if he becomes available? Would you trade away draft capital and proven players for an elite quarterback with injury concerns, or stick with the current rebuild under Caleb Williams? Is this the shortcut to a Super Bowl or a reckless gamble? Sound off in the comments. Would you pull the trigger on a Burrow trade, and what would you be willing to give up? Before you go, hit that like and subscribe button. Be part of our community and stay updated. Let's keep Bears strong together. Catch you in the next one.